start the handle. So I'm going to do the handle, um, at least start off the handle with a cylinder. So I just want to get a look at what this looks like right now before I do the cylinder. So I need to drop it in. So let's drop it in from the bottom. Let's see what happens. So it should be centered when I drop it in, unless, let me double check my options. I did log out of Katia and actually logged out of the Citrix server since I did the previous video. So let me just do a double take here on where I'm sitting. Yep, so it needs to be origin center. I'm glad I checked that. Make sure you always check that. Um, I can't customize the Citrix server like I'd like to. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to drop it in. Oh, make sure I'm in the correct geometric set, and I am. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to drop in a cylinder. It should drop it in perfect. And why don't I go ahead and do a little bit of affinity scaling since it's already all selected. So I'm just going to hold down the control key and just get it down. So get it close to a power grip. So a power grip is 1.5 inches in diameter. And so that's going to be, well, let's just say that should be close. And so I'm going to do a translation to get it out to where I can see it. So I'm going to go to translation and let's move it. Oops. Hate it when that happens. Let's do it all select. Now let's move it. There we go. Still bigger in diameter than I want it. But that's okay for now. I'm still just manipulating. So I want to do another all select and do another affinity scale. Now this is just me kind of just tweaking the diameter to get it close. And let's leave this around 50 millimeters for now. I don't think that really matters. I'm just going to get it close. Doesn't matter for now, at least. So go back to translation. So I just got my cylinder. That's the objective right now, is just to get a cylinder out there. So I'm going to come out, and so I'm going to take this in, and I'm just going to move this face, and that's going to just kind of serve as the way to elongate it. So I want to select that face, then I can just do a translation and move it up. And let me look at it from the side here. And as you know, I'm going to end up merging this in. So why don't I do an all select, move this down. Again, this is just manipulating. Ever how you want to manipulate to get this to where it needs to be, it's your preference. So I'm taking that, and why don't I just go ahead and move that face over. It probably wouldn't hurt. I wasn't expecting to do this, but let's try a little bit of a rotation on that. Just to get that face slightly rotated. And then another translation. Again, this is just me playing. So ever how you feel comfortable getting this handle in, you're welcome to do it. Now, obviously, it's not a straight cylinder, so we've got to do a face cutting on this. And let's try one face cut to begin with. So I'm coming up here to my surface styling, make sure I'm set at one section, and then I'm going to do a face cut, and I'll just put it right down the middle, and that's fine. So I'm going to select it, and then what I want to do is just kind of move this back just a little bit. So just punch that in with a modification, and it looks like it's selected. So actually the whole model is probably selected. So I want to do edge selection with linear propagation. It looks like that's what is selected, but just to make sure, I can move that cross section back, and we'll just check it here. Good. So far, I'm happy with that result. So the bottom here will, now this isn't circular too, by the way, this bottom. So I wouldn't get too hung up on um, keeping this bottom circular, but it's going to be close. But I do know right now that this needs to be smaller in diameter. So I'm going to do a face selection, and let's do a affinity scale. Let me try it. Oop. I was trying something different with the affinity scale and it didn't work. So let me just start over. Affinity, oh, no wonder, linear. I always forget to turn this linear propagation off. So um, there you go. I think. So let's do a, there we go. Good. And I think I want to do this a little bit smaller too, but I'll tell you what, probably better to take a look at it from the side. Good. So I want to do a translation here just to move that over just a little bit. And I want to put a sphere here on the bottom that will close that end. I'll do that later. Now just some tweaking here. Probably show you some different little tools as I do this. So let's do an edge move. So I want to select edge, make sure linear propagation is not selected. I'm just going to select that edge, and it is not selecting. So let me see what's going on. Let me punch that in first. Try it. Okay. There we go. I'm just taking that. I'm just going to move it back a little bit, and let's move it up. Try to get those horizontal. Come around on this side. I'm just going to move that out ever so slightly. Well, I think I went the wrong. There we go. And let's take this, and this is going to require me to look at it from the side. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to move it that way. So notice how it's starting to form the shape of the handle ever so slightly. So this is more an art than a science. It's like working with clay, and that's supposed to be one of its uses where clay models used to be popular. Now, not that they're still don't have their clay models certainly are still useful. Citrix is freezing up on me here for a moment, so give me a second. All right, so let's just do some manipulation. We'll look at it from the side again. And let's move that out a little bit more. And this side I'm going to move down. So keeping in mind I'm going to merge between these two faces. So let's stop right there on that one, just for now. I can still do face splitting later if I need to. Let's just see what we got going on here. That's looking fairly good. Let me see how it lines up with this face. So what I'm going to end up doing is I want it to merge into that bottom face. So you can see the face itself, the whole lines of the face. Maybe you can see that, but you know, the whole lines of the face are fairly big. So I'm going to get this out a little bit more. So I want to select this outer face, and let's do an affinity scale on it. All right, that should work for now. Let me punch that in. And then I need to flip it over. I need to do a face erase on that. So come up here to surface styling. Let's do an erase. I always do a double check to make sure I'm grabbing the right surface. Got it. And while I'm at it, let's go ahead and do the bottom. And then select the modification. Okay, so that's getting close to my handle. It's not exactly where I want it, but it's close. So I'm going to save. Save is good. And I want to go back to this model because I need to erase this bottom face. Not erase it, but get it to where I've got something I can merge. So if you look at that, get off of. So if you look at this bottom face here, and you compare that to here, what I probably need to do is do an affinity across these lines. And then just, so notice I pre-selected these two edges. I'm doing an affinity, and it's just the two edges selected. And when I do an affinity, that will, it's hard to see, but oops. The reason why it's hard to see, I was on translation. So let's do an affinity and see it will broaden that out just a little bit. Punch it in. And I'm going to, oops. I'm going to hide. I'm going to hide that handle and go back to here. And let's look at how we can, and I'm going to end up, let's erase this. I want to erase this face. And I'm not sure the results are going to be exactly what I'm looking for, but let's just see what happens. So I'm going to come up to erase, select that face. A little bit too big of a hole. Not happy. So, and I can make that work, but that's just too much. So I'm going to punch. But now, if you get to a place and you're like, oh, I don't like that, then you haven't punched it in, applied it, or applied the modification. I'm just going to get out of it by picking here, selecting here, and then going no. Right, so what I want to do here, I'm going to do a face subdivide. So it's right next to um, face cutting, and I can take this face and I can break it into a smaller face. I can kind of control that offset, if you want to think of that as an offset. Let's roll with that for now. So I'm going to hit apply. So I've got that in there. Yeah, that's going to be okay. So let's do a face erase on that. That's almost too small, but I'm going to go with it. So I've got a face erase on that, and this is the challenging part, but challenges are good. So let me get out of, go back to modify. Should bring the, if I punch in modify, it should bring this menu back up. So I'm going to just do some manipulation of these edges here. Get it from the side. Ooh, So that's not good when I say ooh. But I'm just looking at my surfaces here. I like smooth surfaces. That's not exactly what I was looking for, but no undoing up to a certain extent at least. No history, so you just got to be careful. And it's going to work. I'm going to get it to work, but it just takes some molding, if you will, modeling with your hands, right? And don't be satisfied, right, with mediocrity. Just do the best you can and get it. And keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it until you can get it where it needs to be. So I think I'm going to roll with that right there. And I can after I merge this, I'll be able to. Oh, not liking that, not liking it, but I can still fix some stuff. So I'm going to hide this handle. Here's my handle. So let's take the handle. I'm going to move it down just a bit because it's certainly sitting up too high. It's not even matching up well, but that's okay. I want to do it all select on my handle with a translation. And let's just move this down and I can fix the bottom later. Uh, and I'm going to be able to make this work. It's just going to take a little bit of finessing. So I'm going to come back and I want this merge to come together well, at least to begin with, and then I can manipulate it after I get the merge in. Don't like this kind of lumpy thing going on here, but I can fix that later. Right now, I'm just going to focus in on getting a nice, I just kind of want to focus in on getting a nice merge between these two. Now, this is undoing some of the stuff I did earlier, unfortunately, but that happens. So I'm going to touch off and let's look at what we got here. So I've got something I can merge. So I've got a hole there, hole here. Each hole has 4 segments around it. So I should be able to do at least a merge between these two. Citrix went down on me, so I feel your pain when it comes to Citrix. I was saving, but um, lost the video. Didn't lose the video, but I had to readjust my place with my video. So didn't save all the way up to the end of the crash. So I had to go back. And so it may look a little bit different than what you just saw, but I will continue to work on it here. So essentially what happened is the video cut out, or I lost the Citrix before I cut the base here. So I went back in after it came back up, and you see how I'm kind of sitting here now. I've done some manipulation, so it's close to where it was before. So I'm going to continue working on this, even though it may look slightly different than it was before, but everybody's going to look different anyway, probably. So I'm going to do an edge selection without linear propagation. And what I want to do is do an affinity scale on these two. Just to move that in a little bit. There you go, good. And let's do the same on these two. Again, at this stage of the game, your model might be quite a bit different than mine, which is okay, but what I'm trying to do is get it to where I can merge the body with the handle a little bit better. So I want to go back to my handle. I'm going to do translation, all select. Just going to move it down just a bit. I'm actually liking this a little bit better, I think, than where I was before the video crashed. So let me look at this from the side. It's all about manipulating it until you get it to where you want it anyway. So a lot of yours are going to be way different than mine by this stage of the game. And that's okay, as long as it looks like it when it's over. So I'm just tweaking so I can get a good merge. So I'm just kind of, if you will, trying to get those edges close to each other. And then of course I can do some manipulation afterwards as well, after the merge. Okay, so I think I'm ready to merge. So I'm going to select modification and then my cursor to get out. So I'm sitting here now. Ooh. It'll be okay. I'll get it to work. So I'm going to turn my painting off here. And I still want to tweak this a little bit. And especially that edge. I'm using control key and that edge. So I've got translation set on those two edges. Make no linear propagation. So I'm going to change to affinity scale. I'm just going to move those in. Move those in. And let's do the same for these two. Control select and then move those in. Now that's should be looking a little bit better. Punch it in. And let's do the merge. So if you're sitting close to this, before you do a merge, notice I've just got a little gap between the two. 4 segments each gap, so that's important. So I'm going to come up here and do a merge. I think I'm going to do handle to body. So do my merge, and then I want to select handle, and I want to select body, and then it does create a little bit of, it does start the merging here in the back, it looks like. So I did handle the body, so I want to come up here and select, right. Let's try selecting there. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just got to go around and reselect all 4 points. Let's see if that got, yep, that's looking good. Now let me look at this from the side. This may goof up here whenever but if you can kind of see, right now that's merge mode. Let's see what happens when oh, that looks better. So I went to join mode and let's try extrude mode. This will probably add an extra cross section. It does. One less cross section. Let's see what happens here. That, I think I like that the best. I don't know. That's good. That's good. Let's go with that one. So I'm going to punch it in and then accept the modification. All right. So, and if I don't like one of these cross sections, let's say I'm looking at this, and I got a lot of wireframe entities. This is this is really poor right now. See how this whole line comes up and then it goes in and it comes back out. It's looking really jagged. Same way here. I like smooth flow of control points. I don't want to see a lot of jagginess. That's a learning point for everybody, including myself. So let me start manipulating that. And I can really too take out one of these cross sections, even though I think I'm going to leave it as it is. So I'm going to do a vertex select. I'm going to select that vertex and that vertex. Now, granted, yours are probably way different than mine at this stage of the game. So again, I'm just showing you more tools here than anything, but I'm going to do a little bit of a, and I'm just smoothing up I'm going to just do a little tweak of an affinity scale, and I'm just cleaning up these vertices in this area because I do not like the way this is looking right now. But I like smooth flow of vertices. So let me do a translation on those two. Just tweak that out. See how I'm trying to get these vertices just flowing really well. These whole lines flowing really well together. So I'm going to do an edge select here. Again, this becomes quite a bit of an art getting these surfaces where you want, but you can hopefully you can see now that smooth flow. Let me tweak these vertices one more time. I'm going to leave it here with you. I'll tell you what, I'm going to pause the video. And, oops, that's translation. Affinity scale. I want to pause the video So you'll have a chance to just play around with these vertices, but I'm looking for smooth flow, smooth flow. So I'm going to pause here and I'll come back here in just a few minutes whenever I'm close to being done. Okay, so I am back, and so I've done some smoothing. I've added a bottom surface here. That I actually added that in as a circle and then did a merge. Um, where the handle joins the body, since I last left you, I did take out a subdivision here. So you can do that with erase, and you can do it with the edge erasing. So I did do that and I've found that that is working a lot better. So what I'm focusing in on now is just smooth flow of control vertices and whole lines. I don't like jagged um, whole lines that just go uh, all manipulating left and right. There needs to be a nice smooth flow. This isn't looking too bad. Uh, I'm kind of looking right here. Maybe it goes in and out, then back in. Probably not too bad. Let me just tweak it just a little bit. I can either do the two vertices or turn off linear propagation, but I can do edge selection on that and then do an affinity scale and just, I mean, these are just minor little tweaks. That's good. Accept it. But of course, your design may require that. Um, a lot of little more tweaking I could do to get this where I want it. It matches fairly well with the drawing now at this stage of the game. I don't see any, and I am looking. I'm looking at my whole lines. I'm looking at my points, making sure I've got smooth flow. I do not like jagginess. I do not like stuff that just is overlapping and going left and right. So to me, that's looking fairly well. I will say that just a moment ago, I finished this model. And then whenever I got out of it at this stage of the game, I realized I had somehow erased a face. And I know how to plug and fix it, but sometimes I just said forget it. I reopened the model for my last save. So I've redone this a couple of times. Now when you get to this stage, this is an IMA model. For those of you who have had surface modeling or who will take surface modeling, I want to tell you this bottom here is I'm not really liking that too much. So what I'm going to do on this bottom is I'm just going to see what happens. I'm going to get rid of this edge. So you shouldn't be 100% satisfied. You should always want to improve. I'm going to try to get rid of this edge. So that face cut, that's better. It will be better, I should say. So let me hit modification, get me back to the tools palette, translation, face select. I'm going to select that face. I'm going to move it in. Now one thing, I'm not going to move it past this line, but one thing I'm looking for here is a little bit more tightness. So I don't want to move it up here. Okay, so I guess you could, but no, don't want to do that. But what I want to do here, and just to show you this tool, is I'm going to show you um, this attraction tool. So I'm going to go back to, I like to always go back to translation. Affinity is always goofing me up. So I'm going to do an edge select and then propagate. I want to propagate all the way around this outer edge here. Then I can do this attraction. And what I want to do is I'm going to turn up that attraction. What you're going to see, if I turn it up almost to 100%, becomes a lot sharper. Now I'm not going to leave it at 100. I'm going to leave it pretty close to 100. I'll tell you what, let's leave it. No, let's take it at, I don't want a sharp edge. Let's do 96, 95. Punch that in. Now let's see what it looks like and see, no, yeah, better. got a sharper bottom than what I had before. So what you can do is you can turn this into a GSD surface. This is an IMA surface. So I want to create a geometric set, and let's call it surface. Right, so surface, and then what I like to do, there may be better ways, but what I like to do is I like to use the join tool. So this is out on the shape operations toolbar. Do the join tool, select this surface. Notice I'm in the surface geometric set, but I'm going to select this IMA surface, the last one that's available here, and I'm going to hit OK. I just turned that into a generative shape design surface. Notice that this hid when I did that. So what I like to do is I like to unhide that, and then I like to hide the geometric set. So that's a GSA. Um, sorry, that's a generative shape design surface. And what I can do with that is I can jump back to my part design workbench, and I can solidify that into the part body. So I'm in the part design workbench. I can make part body, define a working location, and I can come in here and I can go insert surface base feature thick, and let's make it 2 millimeters toward the inside. And that's causing some problems. There we go. Do it to the outside. And then hide the surface geometric set. And now that is a solid model. And now what's really nice about this is it's still attached to the IMA surface, and you could go back in to the IMA surface. I'll unhide here. I can go back into that IMA surface. If I decide to tweak something, I need to get back in the, I'll just stay in the part design for now, but let's say I want to do an edge select, and I select that edge right there, and I go to Affinity. Notice that the solid surface is moving with it. So that did update the solid surface as well. So good design tool. So your job is to complete this model and get it close to, and I would spend personally, if I was a student doing this, I would spend a lot more time shaping. You know, if you want an A, that's the expectation. But I'm afraid Citrix Server is going to crash on me here. Plus, who wants a video that long as you watch me move vertices around? So good luck.